What's going on, everybody? It's Dave Palmer, Leo King, and this is my show, Uncut Astrology, where I take off the mask and go deep behind the veil and give you this week's astrological forecast for the week of August the 10th through the 16th of 2016. Hope everybody's doing wonderful out there. I am sending you lots of love and light. And are you watching my daily videos every day on my app, getting my text message notification, my sun sign weekly forecast? There is so much on there, all video based. Check it out at the leokingapp.com. And it's literally 1 month away. I can't even believe it. Hope in the Desert, my live show in person where you can meet me 3 days long, my retreat. It's so awesome. I have 1 day, 3 day tickets available. Get it all at leokingevents.com. And the presentation is going to be crazy that I'm doing. I'm doing stuff on the Knights Templar. I'm doing stuff all the way to Egypt and how it's all connected to astrology. That's just part of it. The history of astrology, the future of astrology, going all through it in many different ways and forms. And of course, every week, if you share this video, I pick one person who shares on my Facebook as a free reading. So I'm giving away a free reading. And actually for this week, I'm going to give away a free ticket for 3 days to the Leo King event. So if you share this on Facebook, I'm going to pick not only a winner for a free reading with me, that I actually write on this and give you it and snail mail it to you, but I'm going to give away a free 3-day ticket to my event, Hope in the Desert, next month. Now let's get to the astrology, everybody. It is definitely fate train time, people. What? That's because the planet Saturn, which I believe has to always deal with fate, karma, destiny, is moving forward. So we got Saturn coming direct on the 13th. It's going to go stationary into late night into the 12th and the 13th and move forward. And that doesn't happen until the weekend, folks. So remember, from Wednesday to, let's say, the beginning of this weekend, do not feel like you have to make the most major decision in your life. You do not have to. It always feels like that. Saturn also deals with, the train moving forward, life moving forward in a different way. Now, we just saw Mars and what it does. Mars actually makes us feel like, oh God, I kind of got things moving again in our life. But Saturn is like the bass. It's the bass note. It's the heavy note that you feel. It's the reality. It's the physical reality. And this is all getting ready to shift. What's interesting as we come into this week is we have the sun square the moon in Scorpio and Leo, and this is kind of playing out the last year of our life and any of the last the last dingleberries, I like to say, that are hanging, from our trees of things that kind of deal with the past, especially the last year, of any fears or any doubts of your happiness or doubts of love or doubts of positivity. This is us kind of confronting it. Now that the moon is going to be squared by the sun in Leo, I think this is highlighting the last 4 years of your life and really emotionally kind of saying, I learned a lot. This is what came out of it. I have grown stronger. I've grown transformed. But with this Saturn lurking in stopped position, it's like extreme. Well, I want this to happen, and I've got this passion. I've got all these things. So we start running for things, especially as Mars is coming to Sagittarius. It's the horse is starting to gallop, baby. And there's this aspect where we're just like, let's go. And it's like, whoa. Saturn is the authoritative aspect here. It is the train conductor being like, hey, this thing has not left the station yet, folks. Not till this weekend. So just know that whenever Saturn does this, you might feel like you're overwhelmed. Sometimes you can feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know if everything's going to come together. Get your shit together. Pardon my French, but get your taxes stuff done. Get your bill stuff done. Get everything in a row, because when Saturn comes direct, it checks, right? Saturn is the teacher in a different way. It's kind of like the hardcore teacher, the one that really checks the homework, The Sag teacher is kind of like the funny philosopher who smokes weed and who hangs out with you after class and talks, with you and has fun and tells a joke. The Saturn teacher is much more harsh, checks your homework, makes sure that you're doing it, and gives you an F. So, I think that it's important right now to really realize that the momentum in life is about to shift very powerfully, But there's a lot of seriousness to this. We've got Venus this week squaring Saturn as Saturn comes direct. And with that, we have a lot in question. What is in question? Relationships, projects, doubts about this. I say this because Mercury has entered its shadow period, which means we're getting ready for a Mercury retrograde, folks, in the next couple weeks, believe it or not. And this one is connected with Venus. And here's Venus squaring Saturn, and Venus in its fall position. You know, these are big decisions about what you're creating in your life right now, and what kind of partnerships you're going to enter into, and what you're going to manifest and create. And it can be a little bit extreme, to be honest with you. And it can be not the most easiest of decisions. You know, there's very picky choices, but this is a very specific reality that you're trying to create. This is a time as well as Jupiter has come out of its shadow period, which is ready to start opening doors, but they're very specific doors. You know, they're changes in reality. You know, this is all about how is your reality going to shift, and what does that look like? What does the horizon look like? Saturn and Sagittarius. We also got Neptune, remember, in the mix. This week we're going to have Jupiter opposed Chiron in Pisces. We're going to have Venus opposed Neptune in Pisces. So we're going to have both the very kind of like similar planets, Venus, Jupiter, oppose Chiron and Neptune in Pisces, where the south node is. This is really going to dig up the past, and your past, this is going to bring up some, I'm going to just say it this way. This is going to bring up extreme, subconscious patterns that you always go through. You might be staring right at the face at the same kind of pattern you've been through before, in projects and relationships and just life in general. How do you clean up this pattern? How do you enter this pattern that you've been through before, which might blow your mind, and actually make it work? I think that you need to look at your last patterns as they were truth revealers, and they brought about stuff that you were unsure of. And you got to remember now that we are done with the Scorpio realm, we now move in the Sag realm, where there are options, there are different ways to go, and there are positive options, believe it or not. Weren't the most positive in Scorpio. Dealt more like, oh my gosh, I'm being crushed with needing to look inside and see my truth. That's what the last 4 years was about. This week is all about these past patterns, and even maybe past life patterns, if you want to go deep spiritually. But your subconscious patterns are all coming back. We're all coming back to this 0 point of like, oh my gosh, I've been through this exactly before. These characters are changed, but the same pattern, the same similarities. Oh my gosh, la 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 la. The good news is there is different characters. There are different subjects. There is a different playing field. There are different colors involved. The pattern might be the same, but this is at a more positive time. So every day, the hand on the watch, right? It goes the same way. But you know what? Sometimes the light hits it differently. Sometimes we look at it in the dark. This is a time where we're looking at it in the light. We're looking at it differently. And I can guarantee you that this pattern you're about to go through, that you've been through before, and this might be just like reoccurring patterns that you always see through your life, it has a positive thing, but your criticism, your questioning, your doubt, your self-criticism of how things should go is going to come up extremely. I think that you need to learn this week to like not be so critical about it, to be open about it, and to more importantly, not get lost in it all. Like add just enough imagination, add just enough of positivity, but also add enough realism. Like this is a time where everything needs to kind of come at a perfect dosage, right? Like you can't put too much sugar, it's too sweet. You can't put too much bitterness or it's too bitter. You can't put too much sour, it's too sour. You can't put too much of anything on it or it's just gonna mess the whole thing up. And so that makes it hard to make decisions at this point, especially with a Venus square, especially with a Neptune square. You know, it's almost like, you know, it's like waves are coming and it's trying to keep this boat straight, man. And it's like, how do I keep this thing straight? Everything's moving. I've called it the sandcastle theory. Like the second you start building the castle, the waves crash it and you got to go rebuild it again. And that can be frustrating. This Saturn direct is not a very easy one because it's coming at a time where it's got Neptune squaring it. It's coming at a time with Venus squaring it. Venus and Neptune deal with very compassionate, loving aspects. Squaring it being like, nope. Like we're kind of having to really find positivity through the thickness of our own shit we went through for the last 4 years and popping out of this and realizing that these are great opportunities and not being so overly critical. Making sure that the dosage on everything is perfect. There's a great grand trine and fire this week coming up. And this grand trine and fire with the moon in Sagittarius, with the sun in Leo, and with Uranus and Aries, it's trying to light up hope. It's trying to light up positivity. And with all these squares to all this Neptune and Venus and what's going on in Virgo, you have to see that, like, check yourself here. You can heal yourself and you can really do it if you're positive. Jupiter opposed Chiron also is massive ascension healing. From all the wounds that have happened in the past, you need to look forward into a new changed future. You need to enter into new paths to fix what's happened. Not go down old paths again. Not try and revive the past that doesn't work. You got to go into the new. You got to go into what works. Jupiter's actually opposed Chiron a couple times, and this is the last time it's going to happen, folks. And so for a while. So guess what? This week, believe it or not, is about how do you open doors without feeling crippled? How do you open doors without feeling like the past patterns you've been through that have shown up again, are you going to believe they're going to be screwed up again and too over analytical and too thinking that you have figured it out before even experiencing it? Or are you going to open the door, get past your wounds, experience something that might not be exactly as hopeful or bright as you thought it should be? Because this is about perception. The perception of life is like, oh, it needs to look this exact beautiful way for it to be great. But I think that you're going to realize is through your criticism and through your imagination that there is actually a deeper, profound shift in your conscious belief system that will shift you. And if you open the door and go through that and just hold on to that belief, forget your criticism, forget your imagination, because those two things are blocking you from moving forward into a better opportunity, a bigger door to open, and seeing that there's really bright lights everywhere, even though you might not feel that way. And when you deal with Saturn, you deal with aching bones, you deal with sleep issues, you deal with teeth stuff. We talked about this on my Facebook Live. Make sure you subscribe to me on my Facebook so you can watch my live videos. But we talked about how, especially with Neptune squared, it's like 1 minute, boom, you might be achy, sleepy, tired, not feeling great, and then boom, the tides change real quick on you. Let this be a moment where you realize the tides are going to change quick. If you think that it's going to be perfect from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and then it's going to be perfect from 5 p.m. till you fall asleep, you are ludicrous during this time. This is like where seas are turning and things are moving around and we're trying to get this train moving. I actually, if you watch my monthly report, I put with this train moving forward, it's not like a really straight and narrow train. I'll actually put a picture up right now of the train that I used. It's like an overloaded train with a bunch of people trying to find a seat right now. And I think that you need to realize at least the train is moving, at least the door is opening, and you need to realize the blessing that we're moving forward, or the blessings that have come in your life. You need to learn to appreciate them for what they are and see that they are amazing and beautiful. It's your own criticism. It's your own imagination that is effing you in the butt, literally, because it's saying it needs to look this way. It needs to be this way. This is the sun also in Leo, right? It has this kind of we all have this well, I want it to be this kingdom way, and that screws with it all. Plus, Venus opposed Neptune is losing ourself, and we want the fantasy, and Venus is not in the fantasy place. You have Neptune opposing its natural area, opposing Venus in its most unnatural spot. So this means our over-imagination takes over, and our reality doesn't match it, and we get a loss of hope. We get a loss of, oh, I don't think this can happen. And then there we are trying to make decisions early on, before Saturn even goes direct on Friday, Saturday, we're trying to make decisions about it with a weird, let all this pass through. Especially Saturn's going to take, 3 to 4 days to really start to move forward. And I'm going to end with this because I know there's a long uncut. Saturn is on Antares, the star. Go look up at it in the sky, folks. You can go see it. And Antares is such a radical planet. It's about liberation, but it's also about extreme. It's all about rigidity. It's all about kind of like all over the place energy. It can go from kind of extreme, rabid, edgy to liberation. And I think that you need to realize, like, you can have the extreme and the greatness, and there is the liberation, but it's going to come with an edge, and it's going to come with you kind of facing that and having to go deep into your root chakra, because this star rules the root chakra. It's red. You can see it glowing. It's over where Mars is going to be red. This is a lot of root chakra stuff, having to pull yourself out and really kind of like pull yourself through things and not lose your hope with it and not be pulled in weird. This is a real challenge of our beliefs this week. And the last thing I want to say is this is prep, because there's a lunar eclipse next week coming, all while Mars and Saturn begin their conjunction. And so this week is just the preparation for major decisions in our life and the beginning of those decisions to be made. But I think you're going to see that these decisions have lots of complications around them, and that they're going to take some time to work themselves out until that lunar eclipse hits on the 18th, until that Mars and Saturn conjunct near that time, when you'll really start to see, oh wow, yeah, here it all is, and things start to come together on that lunar eclipse in Aquarius that we'll talk about next week. But don't lose yourself this week. Don't make any major decisions, at least until Monday. Because even when Saturn comes direct, there's too much Venus stuff going on. Venus square Saturn, Venus opposed to Neptune. It's too much, and this train is overloaded. There's too many effing people on it. There's too many things. Let it all kind of get some momentum going to kind of get some air moving and to get some things going, because this train's a little too heavy right now. And to make major decisions about it, like, let's get things going, and then once we got some air and we got some movement and we're not going to overheat this thing, and we're in a clearer head and we're not too lost in our fantasies of the way that is too fantasy-like, and then we're not so critical because it's not the fantasy we want exactly the way we want it. Let's not that affect our hope this week when there's a grand trine of fire saying, let's light up with positivity, let's light up with hope, and let's not let our crooked, emotional fantasies and our realities that are overly analytically wanting it to be a certain way break those down. And remember, Jupiter just entered Virgo in Vedic astrology, so think about that as well. Thanks so much for all the support. I hope you join me on the Leo King app every day. Go to leokingapp.com and you can get me every day on app or iPhone, Android, and computer. Whatever you're on, just type in leoking.lookstack.com to get access, or go to leokingapp.com and click on computer if you're on computer. Thank you so much for all your support. I truly appreciate it. I hope to see you at Hope in the Desert. Make sure you share this video on Facebook, because guess what? I'm giving away a free 3-day pass to Hope in the Desert at the SLS Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, and I'm giving away a free reading, snail mail style, if you share this on Facebook. I'm picking one winner. Thanks so much for all the support. I truly appreciate it. I hope this helped you a lot. You'll make it through this week. I'll see you next week.